And as we mentioned, James Hirsen, Newsmax contributor, is with us here, our man on the left coast, giving us a right perspective here. James, great to see you with us.
Hey, great to be with you, John and Morgan.
Good to have you back.
So is there more being made about this slump than actually exists? Because certainly, we mentioned Netflix here. There are outlets where movies can go to find the audience. Is this just the new reality?
No, it's definitely the new reality setting in, and it is even worse than what they're describing in the sense of, we're talking about a very insecure town where executives are nervous. Well, they're really, they're reaching for the antacid right now because, as you mentioned, these numbers are staggering. The 4th of July weekend was down 44%. The summer looks like it could be down as much as 20%. We have to go back 3 decades to look at these kinds of numbers. And they keep releasing movies that are terrible bombs. I mean, that lose tons of money. This last weekend, a case in point, they released a movie that everyone in Hollywood thought would be a hit just based on the title, Sex Tape. Come on. And Cameron Diaz and Jason Segel. And it is an absolute bomb. It will lose money. It wasn't as expensive as a blockbuster. It cost maybe $40 million, but for it to do $15 million in its first week is abysmal. And I think there's some significant reasons. I mean, one reason is, how can a business flourish when it's out of touch with its customers? And we hear this all the time. The people in Hollywood live in a bubble. They create these movies that take place in an amoral universe that have messages that don't jive with the beliefs of their customers. And then in addition, the executives are out of touch. It's interesting that one said he wants to work at Netflix, but they're out of touch with the emerging technological competition. It's not just the streaming and the cable and the quality of production. It's also the home theater experience that almost everyone has now. I mean, you can go in the urban, poor neighborhoods where people are on welfare, and they almost all have big screen televisions with stereo sound.
Yeah, and we want to mention real quickly, too, you were talking about the movie Sex Tape. The clip we were playing was not Sex Tape. Right. That was that persecuted movie, I believe, with Fred Thompson in it. So we just wanted to clarify that, since we were playing the clip and you were talking about a box office bomb. Didn't want to get those two confused. But you mentioned the advancements, James, and we talked about this before with the advancements in the lower price now to produce a Hollywood-type film, which is what we talked about last time we discussed this with you, and why we had that clip Persecuted up there on the screen here. Not your typical Hollywood studio blockbuster, but also you mentioned big screen TVs. Samsung just announced a new 100+ inch television screen. This is a reality here. Why do I go to the movies when I can sit at home and have almost the same experience with my big fat plasma or flat screen TV? Is this something that the Hollywood executives are going to start to wake up to?
No, and I think, well, certainly they have, and the theater owners have, because they've come up with something they call 4D, which essentially they call it 4D. It's 3D plus smell and splashing water in your face. It's almost like an amusement park ride where you feel the movie and you smell the movie. They're trying to come up with luxury theaters that will offer, people that will serve you gourmet food, alcoholic beverages. But what's going to happen is the theater experience is a niche experience, and it's going to be those very special kinds of theatrical offerings that people want to share with an audience. But as you mentioned, when you have a screen that size, like 100-inch diagonal, you can invite the neighborhood over and have a theater experience. And they're coming out with 3D, and people are inured to these special effects. The CGI, you can't rely on that. The stars have less power. There's not that many actors that can put people in the seats. And so it's changing. It's much like the music business. It's transforming.
All right. Well, James, before we step aside, we got about a minute left here. I want to get your take real quickly on Dinesh D'Souza's new movie. We mentioned some box office bombs. How is America doing at the box office?
Well, America, it's not doing as well as his previous offering, America 2016. But when you look at a documentary, it's doing quite well. It's going to end up being somewhere in the top 5 documentaries in history. And one of the biggest things about Dinesh D'Souza's movie is there's a company called CinemaScore that takes surveys after people go to movies. It got an A+.
There you go. The audience loves that movie. We might see more from Dinesh D'Souza and more on this topic. James Hirsen, our man on the left coast, great to see you. Great to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, we'll step aside for a second and turn our attention to an American moment. And this time we're focusing on a day a lot of Americans remember, a day a music icon left this earth, the day Elvis died. More on that in this American moment.
August 16th, 1977 is a date forever remembered by music lovers throughout the world as the day the King died. Born a twin on January 8, 1935 in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis Aaron Presley's twin brother Jesse died at birth, leaving the future entertainment legend to grow up a single child. After making his first recording at age 19 for Sun Records, 1 year later, RCA bought his contract, and within 2 years, Elvis Presley emerged as an international recording sensation. But at age 22, young Elvis was drafted into the Army. He declined special service status and trained alongside regular soldiers at Fort Hood before joining the Army's 3rd Armored Division in Germany. After 2 years of service and meeting his wife Priscilla, Sergeant Elvis Presley returned to civilian life and went on to star in 33 films and break records for his television specials and appearances. But concerts were always his first love.
It's my favorite part of the business, is a live concert.
80,000 people lined the streets as a parade of white limousines made their way to Graceland to pay their final respects. Today, Graceland remains the 2nd most visited home in America after the White House. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.